Hello, everyone. Welcome to the London Regional Co-ords live stream. So thank you very much for everyone joining. So let me go through the people that we've got. We've got 3 of our regional coordinators who do an awful lot of work in your branch areas and for the whole region. Chances are you've benefited from these guys day to day without even realising it. They negotiate on your behalf with your senior managers on a regular basis, and they do an awful lot of work for you. So it's very good to have these guys on with us tonight. We've also got Pete Francis from the NEC. So we'll go around and we'll do questions with each line, with each regional co-ord, which deals with a specific line of business. And then we'll go to Pete, and then we'll take some questions from everyone. So first we'll go to Winston Richards, who is the regional coordinator for BT Enterprise. Winston, mate, very good to have you on, mate.
Very welcome to be here. Thank you very much for inviting me, Will, and good afternoon, good evening to everybody.
Fantastic, matey. So we'll start with our first question. For all of our members who may not be aware, the issues that will soon be affecting all of our members, pan-BT, really started in BT Enterprise. So when did that relationship between BT Enterprise and the CWU change?
Oh, well, first of all, yeah, I'm Winston Richards. I'm the regional rep in London for those members in Enterprise. And to answer your question, Will, we've always had, decent relationships with BT. But what we noticed, particularly around about this time last year, last year, October, we noticed that, the attitude changed somewhat. And we went from a reasonably cordial relationship to one where, they came at us and said, look, we're going to have to do some restructuring. And they've basically said there's going to be about 400 members that are in scope of redundancy, which, we said, no, we need to look into this. And, we had meetings set up, and I was part of the London region negotiating team. And I attended with a lot of these members. And, there were, redundancy. They put forward their proposals. You put forward your counter proposals. And I tell you what, when we noticed it, a lot of the proposals that we were putting forward, and these were viable proposals, they weren't nothing outlandish, they were reasonable proposals, but on every occasion they were rejecting them. And this is what caused us concern. I thought, well, why aren't they accepting anything we've said? It was about that point, you're looking at October, it was at that point when we realised, the relationship had gone a bit sour for whatever reason. And then after that, we had the meetings. They refused basically to work with us. They basically stopped negotiating, and we're talking about issues that affect the members directly. We're talking about their terms and conditions. We're talking about grading, reevaluating of jobs. These are things that, they were refusing to negotiate, and they were trying to impose without negotiating. And it was just a cynical attempt just to hit their own business targets, and no respect or no consideration for the impact it's going to have on people, because, on a spreadsheet, you're just like an EIN. But in reality, we are people. We have lives. So, they were not willing to compromise on anything. And that's when we realized at that time it was a problem. So they're now looking to move away from our terms and conditions, what we've agreed. And these terms and conditions have been in place for over a generation, you might as well say, 20 years plus. Not only do they want to do away with our terms and conditions, they also want to renegotiate our pay and pension protection. These are things that were, put forward and agreed through negotiation. As far as BT were concerned, they're not interested. All they're interested in is to get rid of people. The question of redeployment, again, which you'd expect that to be retrained, redeployed. Again, that was just rejected, and it's just a numbers game. We just need to get this number of people out of the business, and whether they take voluntary redundancy, if they don't want to take that, it's down to them. If they don't take it, they could possibly face compulsory. So whilst the company are putting out their blurb and saying that no one took compulsory in enterprise, reality it was, because people were being forced to take these decisions. Thanks, Will.
So it's pretty clear from that the company just essentially quite abruptly that it was no longer going to negotiate with us, which kind of touches on another thing. So what is the effect that these changes have had on our members in BT Enterprise, and especially the compulsory redundancies, and how has that affected our members personally?
Well, thanks for that, Will. That's a good question. Look, at the end of the day, we're talking about people, and what effect does it have on you? You're working there, you're hitting all the targets that they've asked you to hit, you're doing well, no complaints, you're punctual, you're courteous, everything that the company expects of a good employee. This is what you're doing. All of a sudden, you've been told that your job is at risk, and the only way that you can remain in this job, in some cases, is that you're going to have to move literally hundreds of miles away from your where you are at the moment. This is the expectations now. So you're now expected as a good employee to leave behind the community which you grow up in. You're expected to, some cases, children are in schools. Yeah. Do you then decide to take your children out of school and then relocate them somewhere? Do you lift yourself up, relocate yourself somewhere where you don't even know anybody? So you've got that. You've got this issue of parenting. How do they look after their children? Will they take their children? You've also got people who've got elderly parents. You need to be around your parents. We have networks amongst ourselves. We are expected now, within a short space of time, to make a decision. Do I leave all of that behind and relocate, or do I leave my job? So in terms of the impact it's had on people, it's had a very profound impact on individuals, on their mental health, on their well-being. And there are people that are being extremely stressed, and they feel as if they have no alternative than to make that decision and leave a job which they have been doing for years. And it's a job they love. I've not met anyone within this business that doesn't love what they're doing. It's almost like you're doing a service. Well, you are doing a service because you're providing people with connectivity and communication. And to have that taken away from you at such short notice, at a time when you see what's happening out in the wider world, this is not the way I expected the business to run. This is not the family-friendly policies that they like to espouse. Yeah. So what we're saying is, this does not have to be this way. Yeah. We even have situations where people have been made redundant through voluntary terms, and it didn't have to be this way. We have evidence to support that some of the cases, and some instances, have gone to tribunal, a potential tribunal, and the company are now approaching those individuals to try and make settlement agreements, because they can quite clearly see what they were doing was not the correct way to go about it. So, yeah, how would you put yourself in situation? You've got to up sticks and leave, or you've got to, stay with your family. What choices are those to be put before someone at this particular time? It's absolutely insensitive, Will.
So it's quite clear that actually for our members, even talking about voluntary terms, it's still an incredibly stressful situation for them. And
Absolutely.
Especially for our people that haven't been targeted for compulsory or manoeuvred into a position where they would have to take voluntary. Can our members in BT Enterprise feel safe for their future in that part of the business, or are there even more battles in future which they will unfortunately have to contend with?
Well, look, I'll go back to the first bit about the redundancy. When we were putting them outright, we had a feeling that something's not right here, because some of what we were putting was very reasonable. So we've been told, and we've been made aware, that this isn't the end. There will be in the future, more cuts to be made. There will be, as they call it, more drives for cost saving. A lot of the roles, what they're doing, they're looking to reevaluate these roles, and this is currently ongoing. We still have no agreement on many of those reevaluation processes. So I don't see anywhere in the very near future where people should feel safe at this particular moment. Yeah, they're looking to drive down the pay. They're looking to drive it down by regrading the jobs. They're looking to renegotiate everything. Everything's up for discussion. And this is going to be a fight that we're going to have to stick to. We're going to have to remain resolute. Yeah, because the only thing that I can see coming down the line is a reduction in the terms and conditions that we have fought for years. So
it highlights the utmost importance that we get an absolutely massive turnout on this ballot. So it seems like especially for our guys in enterprise, that this is nowhere near the end for them. So lastly, Winston, what's your message to our members tonight and to the management in BT Enterprise?
Well, it's quite clear. You know, we need to remain as a workforce united. Right? We have the campaign and we have the ballots coming out. Everyone should have got a ballot by now. If you haven't got a ballot, it should be coming into your personal email account anytime soon, between now and tomorrow. It's quite clear. Use your vote. Vote yes. Send a strong message to enterprise management and tell them not to carry on without negotiating with the CWU. Get round that table and enter into discussions, and not just discussions and negotiations, meaningful negotiations and discussions. Yeah, you are looking at people who are going to lose their livelihoods. Let's do this correctly. Let's sit down and let's see if there are alternatives. Do we need to shut all of these sites? Can we not look at other ways of doing this to make it more agreeable for those people who are in scope? Yeah, we understand the company needs to change. We understand the role of automation and how it plays. But we personally believe by working together, and let's revisit everything about this Better Workplace program. You know, the union have made some really good contributions. Let's sit down, let's discuss, and let's move forward in a manner which doesn't cause uncertainty within the workplace. Because I can't see how the workers can be able to sit down and relax and to do a good day's work, knowing full well that there is a dispute going on. And if you see the actions of the union, of the management and how they're behaving, can we really say that this is the sort of people that we're going to be able to trust in the future? So none of us can feel safe and secure, but that's not the end of it. The union is there to work hard and to support. And this is a constant message, what we've been saying. We've heard it all before. Let's not just put profit first, let's put people first. Yeah, we're supposed to be a FTSE 100 caring company. So I'll end it there. Thank you.
Thank you very much for those comments, mate. And I think we can all agree that it's absolutely vital that we get a massive turnout on this consultative ballot for industrial action. If you have already voted, can you please just leave a comment in the comment section, just saying that you voted, because we need to be sending a strong message to the company any way we can. So next, we're going to have the privilege of being joined by Jason Reynolds, who is the regional coordinator for BT Technology across London. Right there, Jason. Oh, no. You all right there, mate?
Hi there, Will. You're breaking up a bit, my friend. So I'll do my best to answer your questions.
Cool, mate. Okay, then. So we'll try and get this done as quickly as possible, internet connection permitting. So we've seen how BT Technology has used really the same tactics and methods that were being used in BT Enterprise to make our members compulsory redundant. How big are these changes going to be, and how many of our members do you think will be affected by this in BT Technology?
Right, good evening, everyone. Will, I need to answer that in two parts, really. The first part, if people are not aware, is it's a lot of change in technology is being driven by the automation. That is the main for a lot of these changes. But we're also now seeing the FTE challenge coming through. And all of this has been driven by the selection calls that people are having to go through, the interviews, the IC1s. The second part, sadly, I can't put a figure. I wouldn't even want to have a guess or suggest how many of technology members will be affected by these changes. These changes are going to happen, for the next 4 to 5 years. Some of us, myself, will go through these changes more than once because our teams will be going through them. So I wouldn't want to give any of anyone listening any idea on what, because it's not fair to answer that. I hope that answers the question well.
Okay then, matey. So we've seen higher management in technology pretty much outright refusing to listen to any counter proposals that the technology national team have put forward to them. Do you see a way for us to actually sit down with BAET technology and actually start negotiating a way out of this situation in good faith?
I think I got quite a lot, unfortunately, Will, on there. Regarding the relationship we've had with BT, we've had a very good working relationship. Sadly, that's in the past. National team to bring BT back round the table to talk about what the technology members are going through. Clear technology in a process. Prize, which Winston has talked about. They are building on this process. This process is evolving. So I'm hopeful, yes, that we can get round the table and we can have some meaningful dialogue with the company. But we are testing times because the company want to change and they want to change fast.
Okay, matey. Thank you very much for that. And lastly, mate, do you have a message for our members in BAET Technology and for the BT Technology Management?
Sorry, Will, I didn't catch that, my friend.
That's okay, mate. Do you have a message for our members in BT Technology and the BT Technology Management?
Right, I have a very important message to go to our technology members. We, as the CWU, are fighting for every one of you. Job security, great, just to name a few. We need you to get behind us and support us. And by doing that, there's one easy way to do that, and that is today. You've got a chance in a ballot to vote yes, to take part. Okay, we need a very clear message back to be that this is not acceptable. We are not going to accept these continual attacks on our grading, on our security, on our and on workers, and have worked very hard for this company. So my message is get your ballot, vote, message back to BT.
I'm afraid you're really cutting up there, matey. So I think we may well have to leave you there. Unfortunately, internet connections while working from home are always a bit of a nightmare, unfortunately, mate. So, but thank you very much for coming on, mate, and sharing that really important message to our members in BT.
I can't hear you, mate.
Okay, then, mate. So next we're going to be joined by Bill Dixon, who is the Openreach Regional Coordinator.
Hear you, mate. You're breaking up badly. I'm right on top of my hub as well.
Okay, mate. So hang on. There we go. Okay, Bill. So thank you very much for joining in, mate. And so I'm going to start with the first question for you. So looking at the attitude with other parts of the business have had with the union, do you believe that the same tactics are going to be used against our members currently working in BT Openreach?
Right, thanks, Will, and good evening, everybody and comrades. Well, in answer to that, yes, I've absolutely no doubt that the same tactics will be used with our members in Openreach, and in fact, they already are being used against our members in Openreach. What we're witnessing is a cultural change right across the BT group, which includes Openreach. And this comes from the boardroom. Compulsory redundancies, attack on our terms and conditions, ignoring and breaking agreements with the CW is a culture that's been set by the BT board, I'm afraid. And I would ask our members to ask themselves why. Are they trying to rewrite an agreement regarding compulsory redundancies if they're not about to make significant numbers of our people compulsory redundant? You know, as has already been said, the CW has a long tradition of reaching agreement with Openreach and the BT group. And it's about facilitating, we're there about facilitating change in a fair way. And we don't want our members to be exploited by this change. So absolutely, I've absolutely no doubt that this is the trajectory that Openreach will intend on taking against our members.
Cheers for that, Bill. I think it's fairly clear that we've seen a cultural change within BT Group. Absolutely. So even if our members in parts of the business aren't seeing those changes yet, they absolutely will in future. And do you believe that Openreach senior management will start to see sense and actually start negotiating with us before we see mass compulsory redundancies in Openreach desk?
Well, it depends. At the moment, senior management is not seeing sense. Senior management is going down this trajectory that we've talked about, and the only way that we can make senior managers see sense is to drag them to the negotiating table. And the only way we're going to be able to do that is to deliver an absolutely massive wet yes in this consultative ballot. You know, good faith. There isn't good faith at present when they're changing agreements before the ink is dry. Telling members that that their jobs are going to be rewritten by somebody else, by a third party. It's akin to building your own coffin. It's outrageous, the things that are going on within the sort of Openreach. And so at the moment, no, they're not negotiating in good faith. We want them to negotiate with us in good faith. We will negotiate in good faith. But then at the end of the day, the situation, particularly for people that are desk-based in London and the southeast, the situation is dire, absolutely dire. We see that labour is going offshore, and they'll replace the jobs, the desk jobs in London and the South East, it'll be totally void. And if they recruit elsewhere within the company, you can be absolutely certain that this is not a move to make better workplaces, as the company is saying. This is a move to reduce people's terms and conditions, to get new people doing the same work on worse terms and conditions. So absolutely not. We need to drag them back to the negotiating table, Will.
So it's a pretty bleak message, unfortunately, for our members. And I think there's possibly quite a lot of people out in the field that are kind of thinking, well, this isn't going to affect me. This is mainly going to be targeting Openreach desk in London and the South East specifically. But my question to you is do you think the changes, i.e. compulsory redundancy, is just going to be limited to Openreach desk, bearing in mind the vast changes that are coming with the FTTP network?
Well, it's a good point, Will, isn't it? And you know, at the end of the day, you know, I'm absolutely certain that this, you know, jobs disappearing from desk isn't the only place it's going to disappear. I think you will see it in our field staff, and you only have to look around. You have to look around in the streets. You can see that sort of the Openreach cabinets are being worked on by contractors. There's so many liveried vans with the Openreach motives on them that are doing work that is traditionally that work that would be done by direct labour in Openreach. And the only reason they do that is because that they want to provide, or the service provided on inferior terms and conditions. And this was a race to the bottom. We're being exploited by this. And we have to sort of kick back against this. And we know that BT are, or Openreach, they've got a whole program with FTTP. As far as I understand, that program is accelerating. It's accelerated because BT and Openreach are one of the companies that have profited during this epidemic. Unlike some other companies that are going to the wall, actually, we're one of the very few companies that things have been running right for the company, because they're the company, we are the people that have been keeping the country going during this pandemic, and the company have profited from it. And it's absolutely outrageous that they should attack us in these ways.
Thank you very much, Bill. And lastly, mate, if you do have a message for our members in Openreach, desk or field, and Openreach management, mate, what have you got to say to them?
Well, the message is clear to Openreach management. The message is clear to BT management right across the company, senior managers, is talk to us. At the end of the day, we've got 30 years of good industrial relations, and we have actually managed change. The trade union has helped the change that the company has needed to sort of be fit for the future, and they need to continue to negotiate with us. And my message to our members, it's clear that at present management are not listening. It's clear that they're running roughshod over your terms and conditions. So it's absolutely vital that if you haven't already done so, that you vote yes. Put a big fat yes in that ballot paper and make sure that that message is heard loud and clear. It's only by voting yes in large numbers that we'll make sure that that message is heard loud and clear. So again, wait for those ballot papers to drop through if they haven't done so already. If you don't get it, then go to your branch. I know there have been in certain circumstances when we haven't had the right email address, so contact your branch. But absolutely, it's really vital, really important that you make that mark on that ballot paper and say, I am voting yes, I'm supporting this union who is supporting my job and terms and conditions.
Thank you very much for that, Bill. I think it's all really poignant contributions there, and it's quite clear that we've got a lot of challenges in BT Openreach and Pan BT. So next of all, I'd like to welcome Pete Francis from the TNFSE. Thank you very much for coming on, Pete.
Thanks, Will.
Okay, so the first sort of question that I've got for you, because we've had reports of members in London getting their managers telling them that if they do vote in this consultative ballot for industrial action, that they could be disciplined. What sort of reassurances can you, from a national perspective, give those members?
Thanks for that, Will. Well, the first thing I'd like to say is it's illegal what the managers are doing, and it's completely immoral. And what I want to assure our members in London, and not just London, nationally, if you are approached by any manager who comes and makes those sort of threats to you, the first thing you need to do is tell your union. Come to me straight away, come to Will, come to any of your branch officers and get it reported and give us the name of that manager that is doing it. We will make sure that manager is highlighted, and we will make sure that he was hauled over the coals. And if need be, we will take action against that individual. As I say, it shouldn't be happening. And if it does, please, I urge you, please report it, because we need to know that's going on. But what I can assure you, all these emails or the ballots are going to a personal email. So they've got no way of tracing you anyway, because it's on a personal email address. So don't think that they'll know what you voted. You need to vote yes. As I say, the contribution made by all the other reps on this call know how important it is that we get this yes vote so that we can try and negotiate back with the company. So I don't want anybody feeling threatened. And if they do, Will, please make sure that if you get anyone, that they come and report them either via myself, any national officer, and we will be going directly to the company. And if one thing we will do, we'll go to the Prospect Union as well. Some of these managers will be in a union. We'll go to Prospect and tell them what their members are actually doing, and we'll embarrass them that way as well. So please, any member on the call, please report it.
So absolutely clear message there, Pete. Thank you very much for that. So any members who have any doubts, this is an absolute right of yours to participate in a national ballot, and it is not on for managers to behave in this manner. So Pete, next question is, why is it important from a union's perspective nationally that we get a massive turnout on this ballot? I know that we've heard from our regional leads in London, but I was wondering if there's a little more that you could give us in terms of the national executive's view.
Thanks, Will. Well, really, it's been summed up, a lot of it, by the reps' contributions so far, and obviously Bill said quite eloquently what the main points are. The reason we need this vote now, what I want to strenuously say, because I've had a few queries even myself today, are we going on strike? This is a consultative ballot, so it's an internal ballot within the union to judge the strength of feeling that we've got across this union regarding the attack that we're seeing on redundancy, terms, conditions, grading, etc. So we need to know that you are behind this union to go back to the company and tell them that they need to negotiate, or there could be serious consequences. So any ballot for industrial action will come in an industrial ballot which would precede this ballot. But we need this yes vote, and we need your participation. We need as many people as our 45,000 BT members to vote in this ballot, because we need to go back to the company and say as many as 100% of all our members have voted in this ballot. Because one thing I'll say is the senior management in this company don't even think that we represent our membership. They've got their own system now. I've forgotten what it's called now, but people can go on. This union represents 45,000 team members, which is over 95% of all team member grades in this company. We represent you, and we need you to show your support in this ballot so we can go back, and as I think Bill, Jason and Winston have said, so we can get them back to the negotiating table. Thanks, Will.
Thank you very much for that, Pete. Absolutely clear and concise message there of why it is so important that we get an absolutely massive turnout. So last question for you, Pete. Now, do you think with all of this effort that we're putting in, we're getting a lot of feedback from members that they will be voting yes? If we do get a high yes vote, do you think there is a significant chance that the company will legitimately take notice of that feeling and actually engage with us in proper negotiations?
Well, I seriously hope so. I believe we're actually making an impression now. As you know, the campaign's been running now for a few weeks, and you know, in the London region and across the country, we've tried many things. We've got members writing up to senior directors in the company and management, writing to our MPs, and it's starting to have an impression. I mean, we're hearing all the time of senior managers like in Openreach, Clive Selly, calling members who have written to him to voice his concerns. Philip Jansen has been holding seminars with members and calling members. So we know there is a great concern. Kevin Brady in Openreach is obviously on going back to people as well. So we know it's getting to them. And even this attack, the attack that where we're hearing of members being approached by managers with disciplinary action, it's getting to them. And this is what we want. We need this type of action. I mean, all the guys on this call tonight, we were in London a few weeks ago before lockdown, where we went and set the projectors up at BT Centre and Judge Street to show the company that we really mean business here. And I'm adamant is going to be, if we can show that we can get as many of our members as possible to vote in this ballot and give a resounding yes, the company will have to stand up and at least want to negotiate a way out of this. One reason they're going to want to negotiate is for the shareholders. Since Philip Jansen's come into the helm, the share price has halved. It might have gone up 10p or so in the last couple of weeks, but it's basically halved. So you can hardly say he's doing a good job. So, you know, he was brought in with the share price at a low of just over £2, and now it's just over £1. So they're not going to want the city upset with the thought of industrial action. And the last thing we want is industrial action. But we are at a point now where we're going to need our membership to back this union to make sure that we've got the power to go and negotiate a better deal to stop. Because, you know, for all the people on this call that have been on, you know, when I came on, there was 240,000 people working in this company. You know, we're down to about 80,000 now. And we didn't need any redundancies in that time, compulsory redundancies. Everything's been managed by the union with our redeployment. We know about automation. Automation goes on forever and a day. It was happening 30 years ago. It's happening today. But we've managed it. And we managed it successfully with the company. We've probably had the most successful redeployment scheme in any European business and probably worldwide, because we've always managed to redeploy people. So what I say to you, Will, and I say to all the callers here tonight is, yes, it is so important that we get that yes vote to give the authority for the national teams to go back and negotiate with the company to stop what they're doing, and let's sit down around a table and start negotiating properly to look after our members and their long-term futures. Thanks, Will.
Thank you very much, Pete. So absolutely highlights the importance of our members participating as much as possible with this campaign. We're also making sure that we ask every member to talk to every person on their team and make sure that they know that the ballot should be with them and make sure that they are voting yes. So we've opened it up to questions. I'm not seeing any questions in the comments. So if anyone has a question they want to pose to one of our regional leads or to Pete, can they please just leave a comment and we will get them to answer that question for you. If not, if I don't get anything come through in the next couple of seconds, we'll probably close it down because we've been going for about 40 minutes. And I think by the looks on most people's faces on the call, they want to get off. Yeah, so we haven't had any comments through, so I think we'll close it off there. So a big thank you to. Oh,
Will.
Sorry, Winston. Yeah.
Can I just say, if you don't mind, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Can I just remind people that no matter what line of business you're operating in, yeah, no matter what line of business is, whether it's enterprise, whether it's technology, whether it's Openreach, whether it's desk, whether it's in the field, just bear this in mind. We have a process called collective bargaining, which has been in place for generations. And through that process, any proposals is normally negotiated with the union. What Bill has mentioned, what Jason has mentioned, and what Pete have mentioned is there is a culture change within the line of businesses now. Yeah, they don't want to negotiate; they want to impose. So, how can you have faith in these people that tell you, "Oh, your line of business, you're okay"? Last year, enterprise, nothing, all quiet. Then, as from October last year up until March, people were being told your job is no longer viable. We are now going to exit you out of the company. They didn't listen to what the union were proposing. The union said, well, look, let's have a look and see if people want to go, let them go, and then you can backfill. You can reskill. To those who want to go, let them go. Those that want to stay, make them stay and reskill them. This is what's been going on for generations, and they have refusing this. So be aware. This is a battle that we have to win. We have to win. Yeah, I've been on calls, and the branch has been ringing around people and speaking to people, and not one person that I have spoken to has said they're not going to take part in it. They're all concerned about the attitude of the business. Yeah, previously good industrial relations are now being ripped up. How can you have an agreement and then that agreement is just tossed away? These people are behaving badly, yeah, and we can't sit around and accept that. So yeah, I make no apologies for mentioning it. This is your opportunity. We have been told that it's not the members that are speaking, it's the union that are speaking. No, we always represent the voice of our members. And if our members tell us they're not happy, then we need to do something. And this is what's always been the way. So BT, Openreach, listen to what the membership are saying. Members, don't hide. Now's the time. Use your vote. And for those of you who don't get a ballot electronically, please, as Bill said, make your branch aware. This is vital. We need to send a strong message back to the company to behave with a bit of dignity and stop trying to be the bullies. Thank you, Will.
Thank you very much for that, mate. I've just had a question come through. So from someone called GK, getting to IC3, are we definitely out? Is it a scare tactic of a job offer at this stage and removal of redundancy? So who would like to try and answer that one for us? Pete?
Thanks, Will. Before I get onto the question, I just wanted to make a point I meant to say at the very end. For all the people that are thankful that have come on the call, if they can just go to speak to their colleagues tomorrow just to make sure they have voted, or at least, like, in a normal circumstances, we would be coming around the workplace. We would be attending outside the gates of the exchanges. We would be waiting outside team meetings, wherever we could do to see you. But obviously, because of lockdown, it's limited what we can do. But I just want to ask you, as a favour from the executive and all the branches and all the reps, is please speak to your colleagues and tell them how important it is that they cast their vote. Get them to log onto their personal email and press that button to open the ballot up and press for an almighty yes. So that's that point, Will. We're getting back to the IC3. It's quite comical, really. You've got to an IC3 meeting, and now they're threatening you, if you don't accept voluntary terms, that they might put you in a job. Well, all the way through this IC process, and all through the process before it even gets to an IC meeting, the company is supposed to look for an alternative role for you. So why are they now leaving it to an IC3 threatening you? The reason they want you accepting voluntary terms because they don't want it on their. They don't want it. They want to come back to the public and the press and say, "Oh, we're not making many people compulsory redundant. It's all voluntary." If you look at the terms that are going to be coming in next year, if they get their way, if we don't get anywhere in their negotiations, the new severance terms is going to be like what a manager is. If they don't accept voluntary terms by an IC2, then they get what they call statutory terms. So it means that your enhanced terms at the currently, which could be up to 2 years' money, would go down to a maximum of around £15,000. So what the company are doing is completely immoral because they should be looking for a role for you all the time. If you've not accepted a voluntary package from the IC1, then they should be looking for a role for you. And as I say, when they're having negotiations nationally, as well as a local consultation meeting with you and your rep at that meeting, they should be looking for a job for you all that time. To get to an IC3 to say if you don't accept voluntary terms that you could be forced into a role, put it this way. Winston spoke about October the 16th. We had 400 people in enterprise put in scope for redundancy. Not one person was given an alternative role that way. I think it's just a threat, what they're constantly doing all the time. And I don't believe that's going to happen. I would be quite happy if they come and said there's jobs for everybody, but they don't. It's just basically just for them to keep face and tell them they're not making compulsory redundancies. And that is the only reason I can see it, because they're not going to be able to get a job. You get to the IC3 meeting, you don't accept it, they're going to issue you with your dismissal notice at that meeting, unless you can get it adjourned or postponed. So at that meeting, you will be issued with a dismissal notice and your last day of service. Thanks, Will.
Thank you very much for that, Pete. So I haven't had any more questions come through. So I think we can close off this live session tonight. I'd like to thank everyone for coming on and for all of our members who have joined. We'd also like to reiterate the message that you go to all of your work colleagues tomorrow and you talk to them and you make sure that every single one of them has voted. And if they haven't voted, ask them why.
Will,
yes.
Interrupt you. I think Bill wants to have a say. Thank you.
Oh, right there, Bill. Oh, okay, matey. There you go.
Yeah, thank you, Will. And it was just really to reiterate some of the tactics that have been going on. I mean, obviously, Pete explained the issue about what was happening with people that were waiting for or were at the stage of an IC3 or whatever. And it's the tactics that the company are using. I was in a meeting with a senior manager this afternoon, and when we questioned about what was happening with desk-based people, then they said, well, we will do everything we can to make sure that people will can go for certain jobs. So the question was, well, what are you doing? So they're making a small amount of jobs available. And then I asked them, well, what grade would that be? And of course, what we always expect that when the company is looking for an alternative job, we've got pay and pension protection. This is an agreement that we've had a long time with the company. And what they're saying is no, we won't. They'll have to take the pay of the grade that the job they're going to sort of take. So we asked a question about, well, why is that? Why is that that they're taking that? Because you're making them redundant. Well, we're not making them redundant in their job just at present. It's just we may do later. So you can see what the tactics are. The tactics are there to frighten you to accepting a job of a lower grade, because you can see the writing on the wall. You know that your job, that if you're anywhere in London or the South East, that your job is going to be replaced by someone else, either in an offshore office somewhere, or it will be replaced by one of these so-called better workplace areas. But it's not to make things better for you. We know what the state of the buildings. We've seen the state of the buildings and what they are. What they're doing is they're making the job so far away that you won't possibly be able to take that role on, and they'll replace it with somebody on lesser terms and conditions. And this sort of tactics, absolutely diabolical. It's dishonest, absolutely dishonest. So, you know, we need to send that message, as I say, send that message and send it loud and clear, because their tactics are totally dishonest at present. Thank you, Will.
Thank you very much for that, Bill. And yeah, I think it's absolutely important that members tonight take on that message and take that back to their teams and their mates in the workplace, and make sure that absolutely everyone has participated in this ballot. Right, so I don't think I have any indications of anyone else who wants to come in, and we haven't had any more comments, so I think I'm going to close it down here. So thank you very much for everyone who's come on, and thank you for all of the members that have watched. Please, it's really important that you take that message back to your work places, to all of your teammates, even if you are working remotely, especially if you're working in the desk. We need a massive yes vote to secure your futures. Thank you very much, everyone, and stay safe.
Thank you.